call to order for the Fayette County Board of Education meeting on March 25th. If we would all just take a moment and pause for reflection and reflect on all the things we're grateful for. Thank you. I now would like to welcome our pledgers from Birch Elementary to come up and to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One more pledge. As a Birch Bear, I promise to be my personal best in kind by being respectful, responsible, and safe. I know that making Birch a great place to learn starts with me.
All right. Great job. Thank you. Now we'll call for the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Hollowell, we would recommend the board approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Our next portion, I'll turn it over to Melinda Berry Dreisbach. This is always our favorite part, where we honor our outstanding students.
Okay, now it's on. All right, well, tonight we're going to start off our recognitions, recognizing 3 championship basketball teams. And the Jenkins Road Complex, they really rocked it this year with basketball. So we're really happy to honor teams from We're going to honor teams tonight from Sandy Creek and Flat Rock. We actually have 2 teams from Sandy Creek, both the boys and the girls varsity teams. They are the Region 5 4A champions. And we are going to start off with our girls team tonight from Sandy Creek High School. Let me just tell you a little bit about them. This is their 3rd consecutive time winning this region championship. They were also playoff contenders in the Elite 8 this year. And if the team can please stand, let's give them a round of applause, please. All right, thank you. And now if we may have the head coach, Janie Hodges, come forward, or her representative if she's not here tonight. And also if I may have team captains, Nina Lum and Paris Thompson, come forward. If you'd like to come over here, we have certificates for you. We also have certificates for the entire team, and they are with your coach, and you will get those later this evening. Congratulations. Okay, next up, we are going to recognize our Sandy Creek boys varsity team. They were also in the playoffs this year. They were in the Final Four. This is their 2nd region championship win. They got their first one during the school year of 2016-2017. And if that team can please stand, let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. Now, if I may ask for Coach TJ Bickerstaff, team captain TJ Bickerstaff and head coach John Michael Nickerson to come forward, please. Okay. And once again, we have certificates for the entire team that the coach will hand out later. Congratulations. I think we have pictures. All right, next up, we are going to recognize the Flat Rock boys basketball team. They are our county basketball champions for this year. They finished off their year being undefeated, and they beat J.C. Booth to be the champions this year of our Fayette County Championship. This is Flat Rock's 12th consecutive time playing in the championship, and it's also the second time in the school's history that the basketball team has been undefeated. So at this time, may we have the basketball team stand so we can give them another round of applause. Thank you. Now, if I may have team captains Vicar Newsom and Gamir Lattimore come forward, please, and along with the coaches from the Flat Rock boys basketball team. And once again, we have certificates for the entire team that the coaches will hand out later, but tonight we're going to hand out certificates to our two team captains and our coaches, Ben Thacker, who's the head coach, Gamir Lattimore Sr., Reg Fuller, and Lewis Stock Oken. Okay, now we're going to move on to our Griffin-Risa Regional Math Contest. So not only did Sandy Creek rock it in basketball this year, but they also rocked it in math as well. Overall, we had a great showing at the regional competition. I will tell you that we had out of the three different divisions at this competition, our high schools took first place in all three of those divisions, and all three of these high schools won first place last year, so they were the defending champions. And as I mentioned earlier, Sandy Creek is one of them. If I may have the math team from Sandy Creek come forward, please. They placed first in Division 1. And our team members are Arais Saison, Sarah Sorm, Brian Nugent, Brandon Worrell, and John Seuss, and their coach is Tony Klumper. Okay, next, if I may have the Stars Mill High School math team come forward, please. In Stars Mill, they took first place in Division 2. And our team members are Brock Spence, Dalton Walraven, Brady Meyer, Kyle Robinson, Jay Yao, and also Dalton Walraven. He won first place in the individual winners overall. And our coaches are J.B. Campbell, Wendy Willoughby, and Michelle Genovese. Congratulations. And our third school to win first place in Division III could not be here tonight, and that was McIntosh High School. So we congratulate them, and Dr. Lane, the principal, he's here tonight. So he has their certificates, and they will receive those tomorrow. Okay, next we're going to move into another regional competition. This is the Griffin-Risa Regional Literacy Days competition. We had 3 of our middle school students take first place in this competition. One student, well, we actually had 2 students from Rising Star take first place, and one could not be here tonight, and she is Catherine Rosh, and she took first place in poetry recitation in the 7th grade division. But with us tonight is Ella Marie Griswold. If I may have her come forward, please. And Ella took first place in Ready Writing in the 6th grade division. And Ready Writers, they are given a prompt, and they are asked to write on the spot without any prior preparation. They have just 1 hour to complete their piece, and it is judged on ideas, organization, and style. Talk about pressure. Congratulations. Okay, our other first place winning student is from Whitewater Middle School. If I may have Bryce Bennett come forward, please, and his teacher, Lindsay Houseman. Okay, Bryce, he took first place in poetry recitation for the 8th grade division. And poetry reciters, they are judged on stage presence, articulation, interpretation, difficulty of the piece, and memory and accuracy. Congratulations. All right, now that concludes it for our student recognitions. And now if I may ask all 5 of our high school principals to come forward, please. We are going to give our high schools some recognition. Okay, all 5 of our high schools made the Georgia Department of Education's Advanced Placement Honor School list. And if you think that is impressive, all 5 of our high schools have been included in various categories on the list since the list began in 2008. So that's quite an accomplishment. And behind me, all 5 of these schools made the list for AP STEM Achievement Schools and AP STEM schools. And AP STEM Achievement Schools are schools where students are testing in at least 2 AP Math courses and 2 AP Science courses, and at least 40% of the exams earn a 3 or higher. There were a total of 128 high schools in Georgia that had this achievement. And the AP STEM schools, they have students testing in at least 2 math and 2 science courses. And we had a total of 200 schools in Georgia that made this list. This was the 9th consecutive year that McIntosh, Sandy Creek, Starrs Mill, and Whitewater made the list. And this was the 7th time that Fayette County High School made the list. So congratulations to our schools for that achievement. Both Fayette County High and Sandy Creek High made the list for AP Access and Support schools, and these schools have at least 30% of their AP exams taken by students who identify as African American or Hispanic. And they have to have 30% of all exams earning a score of 3 or higher. There were 64 schools in the state of Georgia that earned this recognition. This is the 10th consecutive year that both Fayette County High and Sandy Creek High have been on this list. Congratulations to them for that. Fayette County High, McIntosh High, Stars Mill High, and Whitewater High, they all made the AP Merit Schools list. And these are schools where at least 20% of the student population is taking AP courses with at least 50% of the exams earning a 3 or higher. Stars Mill has made this list since 2008. McIntosh has made it since 2012. Whitewater has been on the list now for 6 consecutive years, and this marks Fayette County High's 3rd time on the list. And there were a total of 71 schools in the state that are named AP Merit Schools. Congratulations. And the last honor is for AP Humanities Schools, and these schools are Fayette County High, McIntosh High, Stars Mill High, and Whitewater High. These are schools where students are testing in at least 1 English language arts course, 2 social science courses, 1 fine arts course, and 1 world languages course. McIntosh, Stars Mill, and Whitewater have made the list every year since humanities was added in 2015. This marks Fayette County High's 1st time making the list, and they are 142 schools in the state of Georgia who have earned the AP Humanities Schools honor. Congratulations to our schools. And that concludes our recognitions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, we have one additional recognition that we want to present, and that's actually for our Board of Education. This week, actually last week, was the board member appreciation, and our citizens elect board members to represent our community's voice regarding education matters and set policy for the school district. Our board spends countless hours fulfilling its responsibilities and working together to improve the Fayette County School District. I think the students and staff that were just here certainly can, that's part of the fruit of your labor there. I think we're very fortunate to have school board members who are deeply committed to improving student outcomes and who work together to make certain that every decision is made regarding our school system is clearly aligned to achieving our mission of developing young people who can positively impact our world. That's our mission. On behalf of over 20,000 students and over 2,700 employees and I think more than over 100,000 residents in Fayette County, I want to personally express my appreciation for your service and dedication for the young people that you serve every day. Thank you very much. And I won't ask you to come down, but I do want to give you a certificate sharing our appreciation.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Dr. Barrow. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your kind words. And we'll now move on to comments from the public. And just a reminder that the Fayette County Board of Education welcomes public comment during regular business meetings. Anyone wishing to address the board must sign up to do so prior to the beginning of the meeting at 7 p.m. A sign-up sheet is located at the receptionist desk. Speakers can begin signing up at 6:30 p.m. Speakers are called to the podium and are given up to 3 minutes to make their presentations. A timer is visible from the podium. Public comments are an opportunity for the board to listen to the community. Follow-up responses, if needed, will be given in writing. All comments should address a matter related to the Fayette County Public Schools. And our first speaker is Ms. Baker.
Greetings, everyone. I want to speak to you this evening on behalf of the middle and high school band directors in our county. First of all, we want to thank you for this opportunity to share with you some things about our band programs. Thank you for the support you've given us throughout the years and more recently through the East Bloss funding of marching band towers. We've also been told that there's possibly some additional funds this summer to help us with instrument purchase. So we just want to take a moment to tell you how much we appreciate that. Over the years, as a school system, progress has been made in funding our band programs. And I want to briefly give you some background on the funding that the bands have received over the years. In the beginning, we only received funding from our principal's budget, the amount of which was at the discretion of each school. The rest of our budget was through donations from the community, student fees, and band booster fundraising. In recent years, our school system improved upon this funding by giving us additional support through our county-level supervisor's budget. We want to emphasize to you our appreciation for the increase in support for our students and our programs. Recently, through a collaborative effort, each program started the process of not only updating our inventory, but assessing the age and condition of each instrument in our system. The purpose of these efforts was to ensure that any and all funds that we receive from the school system have the largest possible impact on our programs. In gathering the data regarding our quantity and quality of instruments, we realized something very important. The current age of our inventory is causing us to pay for repairs in some instances which are far exceeding the actual value of the instrument itself. Also, some of the wind instruments are used by multiple students in one day. This frequency of use is shortening the instrument lifespan. Soon we will share this data with you in hopes to show you our need for further and continuous funding from eSPLOST and any other means that our county may have. It is our hope that when you see the study, this information that you will learn that we need this continual support from you all. We as directors in our county want to ensure you that the system can fully live up to our new tagline, where excellence and creativity merge, which has been the mantra for our band programs for years, leading to our current levels of success. Thank you again for your time and your consideration of the band programs.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Margie Strickland.
Good evening. My name is Margie Strickland, and I'm a 9th grader in the Sandy Creek High School Orchestra. You have previously heard from other students and parents about the need for an orchestra room. Thank you for including the orchestra room in eSPLOST 3. With the addition of the IB program, we need additional space to meet the needs of the program. We are an established orchestra program in Fayette County and have competed in state and national competitions. We host large group performance evaluation every year, and our facilities must be improved in order to continue to host the district events effectively. Currently at LGPE, we warm up in the chorus room and sight read in the band room. We all barely fit in the chorus room, and the acoustics are drastically different from the stage, which is not a positive experience for any orchestra. During the school year, we have to rehearse in the hallway and any other small closet space we can find due to a lack of rehearsal space for the fine arts. We practice before and after school every day and have to share limited space with the band and chorus. We need to purchase additional instruments for our program and do not have the space to store them.
All right, thank you. Good job. That concludes comments from the public. We'll now move to the superintendent's report.
Yes, sir. First on the agenda is our advanced placement honor schools. I know Dr. Rickley will be coming up. Of course, you've seen some of the fruits of the labor with our high school principals being recognized for their success at their individual schools. Dr. Rickley is going to share more detail about our program and our assessment area. So, Dr. Rickley.
Good evening. So I think Mr. Barry Dreisbach did a nice job summarizing what the awards, the different awards entail. So really I'll focus on our student enrollment and tests that are taken by those schools to earn those awards. And I want to start by saying, I usually end by saying it, but these awards are earned by the blood, sweat, and tears of the students, the parents, the teachers, and the administrators as they build these programs. And I want to give all the kudos and honors to the families and the school level personnel that work so hard to build these AP programs and to give us this success as for over a decade. So the first award that I wanted to talk about was the access and support. And so Fayette County High School in last year had 455 students who took AP courses, and that represented 536 exams. So one thing that I think is important to understand with AP is a lot of times you may have one student who takes 6 courses. So it's good to know how many students are taking it as well as how many exams does that represent, because those are two distinct numbers that I think are really important. And if we're trying to increase our AP enrollment, it may be one student taking one course is really an important measure or metric to keep track of. And so watching our student enrollment is important. And you can see Sandy Creek, 219 students, but those students took more exams, 324 exams. And then for the merit schools, I didn't relist Fayette County High's numbers because they were just on the slide before. And this is you can see McIntosh has had enormous growth in the last decade. They were not on the 2011 list for the AP merit. In fact, McIntosh came on the list in 2013. So very hard work at that school to build the AP program, very focused work on the part of the administration and the teachers and the families. So you can see the number of students, 634, and it's not an exact thing, but a little over 2 exams per each student last year. But you can see at that number of students taking AP courses, that's just really a large portion of that population at McIntosh. Starrs Mill, which is the one school that started out in 2011 being an AP merit school, and it's been on the list since 2011, so it was our first one that I have record of being on those reports. And so Starrs Mill, again, it's like 2 exams per student, so each student is taking 2 courses at least. And then Whitewater has a little bit more, even there are more students taking 1 exam at Whitewater than, so that's really expanding the number of students enrolled in the course. And so I think Ms. Dreisbach did a nice job talking about the STEM and what the STEM means. And I know that's been that's a huge focus that we've had in our school system, and to have STEM and then the STEM achievement schools, which are on the next slide, and to have our schools on those since it's been reported, I think is really something that's very noteworthy, and it shows that the schools are working hard to meet the needs and the requests of the community. So the STEM and then the STEM achievement schools, it's a very good honor. And then the humanities, as a humanities person myself, I think that we would be remiss not to celebrate the fact that we do have people who go into the humanities, because if we're all engineers, then nobody's going to be able to be a lawyer or anything else, a minister or other things. So we need to keep the humanities alive. And you can see we have 4 schools. And I know Sandy Creek's been hard at work at adding these awards as well. And then the last slides are just over the history of since I've begun administering the AP program in 2011.
Great news. Great report.
Great news, great report. I think it's, it really does show a lot of hard work for our staff.
And a couple of things I would say. Number one, our board has blessed the addition of additional AP programs and expanded it at pretty much all of our sites. We've gone down in grade. We're offering some AP courses as low as 9th grade. One of the things that Dr. Rickley she didn't mention in her presentation is that every year we have an opportunity to apply for state funds for AP certification training. We always do that, and we always have at least 3 or 4 teachers that are eligible for that training and those grants. And we also invest in that for our professional learning of our teachers, because once you get trained in AP, you don't just stop there. You have to continue to work at it, and there's a lot of work that goes into a high-quality advanced placement program, and I feel very, very good about the fruits of our labor. So thank you, Dr. Rickley, for all of your efforts.
I did want to add the state sponsors workshops every fall for teachers around the state, and our teachers are often asked to facilitate those workshops. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity for our teachers to go out and share their knowledge and help support other counties as they're building their AP program. And that just shows the level of professionalism our teachers have. And the state identifies them as the people they want based on scores and years of the work they've done. So I think that's something to also brag about.
Any questions?
I have one. Dr. Rickley, great news, and I love the increase, especially on the equity side and some of the other things the last 2 years. Waving your wand, what do you need to continue the upward trend? Can't promise we'll get it, but I'm very curious on what else we can do to help you.
I think the number one thing that we need is, so in October when I present and I go through the test results, and that's always good news as well, I talk about to grow this program, we need to grow the classes, the offerings. And we, in the curriculum department over the last several years, we've identified the classes that we'd like to grow or classes we'd like to add. But there's a balance because some of the classes are replacement courses. So they are courses like AP, I'm going to use history because
Sure.
Actually that's the most AP classes are in social sciences. So AP US History replaces the graduation requirement. So if a student is enrolled in AP US History, that takes a spot that doesn't have to be filled in another regular US History class. So to go through and identify as many replacement courses as we can encourage the students to take. Those are the classes that we'd like to grow. But that being said, some of the highest demand courses are the elective courses that are not graduation replacement courses. And that requires adding teachers to the departments. And it really boils down to, in general, and I know some of the high school principals are behind me, science and social studies teachers.
Okay.
Because those are the two highest offerings of the AP course, with social studies by far being the largest.
Do we have to turn kids away, as far as you know, at any of the schools?
We do turn kids away
Okay.
when they apply. I went through.
And these are kids that you would normally have taken if you had the spot?
If we had the spots, many of our classes, I think a lot of our teachers would like to not turn kids away.
Sure.
If we were able to have the seats for them. But like with all things, there is scarcity. So there is scarcity of seats. So this past year, we finished our AP application process. In January, it's a pretty early process because to build the master schedule at the high schools, they have to plug in the special courses like the AP courses. So overall, of the students that applied for AP courses, 87.7% were selected and given seats. So that's a high percentage of kids applying for the courses to get the seats. The smallest acceptance rate is out of ninth grade. Because ninth grade has the fewest offerings. At most schools, there's only one course for ninth graders, AP Human Geography. 2, maybe 3 of our high schools are now offering AP Environmental Science. But again, those aren't really replacement courses, those are electives. So I'm going to use Macintosh as an example. If Macintosh has a teacher who has 5 sections of AP Human Geography, that teacher cannot teach one of the high school graduation requirements, and so there's a problem in the balance of the schedule. So if we could fill all of the world history, AP World, all of the AP US, all of the government economics, language, lit, and the math classes, it would be easier to expand the program, but the higher demand courses are often going to be your psychology, your human geography, some of the arts courses. And the science courses are interesting because the way we run them, we want our students to be really successful. So our students will take, I'm going to use physics.
Does that mean a high score on the test or learn the material? Or
both? Actually, both. Because the sciences, it's like regular high school science, and then the AP science is more like a college science. Well, it is more aligned to college science. So if you haven't had the introductory, I'll just say chemistry. You don't have the math or the understanding of the basic concepts of chemistry, and then you're doing college level chemistry, you're not really going to feel successful as you're trying to learn it because you didn't learn that first year. So now you've skipped a step in something that is pretty esoteric knowledge. So in Fayette County, our advisement has been that students take the usually a gifted or honors chemistry, physics, biology, and then take the AP course. So the sciences, we have a very large science program, but in order for the students to have the preparation they need, they've often taken the graduation requirement already, so these are elective courses. But we don't want to not give them because it's science. If you're going to go to Georgia Tech, you got to have those courses.
Yeah, I don't think our graduates can be competitive if we don't have an AP Physics, a
No,
Calc
we
BC,
absolutely
those kind of
have
classes.
to have it.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing about AP Psychology is, that's interesting, is it's a blend between social science and science. It gets into a lot of brain study, chemistry, and things like that, biology, anatomy. And it's very popular, but it's also a course that gets you a lot because everybody has to take psychology to get a degree in college. So it's actually one of the AP courses that has a big bang for the buck, but it's an elective. And so when we're looking at the scheduling, if you ask me what I need to build the AP program, it's teachers.
Okay.
Because we train them and we support them. But, you know.
Could you give us more data after the fact via email on where those gaps happen at right now? So we can figure out how we can help?
One thing, and let me jump in.
Yeah,
and
yes, sir.
what we've done in the past as when we have registration, course registration take place, and we see what the demand is for the courses themselves, that typically gives us a good indication. I say us, our high school principals and Dr. Turner and her staff, an idea of, yes, we do have enough students to fill a segment or support a segment. We don't want to be, if I have 5 kids taking a class, I mean, it comes down to cost-benefit ratios there. But if we have enough students to offer the class, and we've got a teacher that's willing to get the training, and so we've added multiple content areas over the last, I know since I've been here, over the last 6 years.
Oh, we've added a ton.
Yeah, I've seen
A
it
lot.
grow. I've seen a bunch of classes out of it.
And that's a good thing, but we don't just add a course just to be adding. We try to make sure there's demand for it, number one, and we've got students that want to take it, and we can afford to do it.
No, I guess my question is coming from, I get, as I brought up before, parents at 2 of the high schools that feel like perhaps their kids should have been able to take the class. Maybe they didn't meet the standard that the rubric, and from what I understand, the rubric may not be the same at all 5 of the high schools. And so there's a little bit of unease by some of the parents, and if we could somehow address that capacity, if it made sense, like Dr. Barrow said,
Right,
I'd be curious how we could help them.
And I do feel like with only turning away 12% of
Oh, it's
people who
not bad.
apply, that's phenomenal. And like I said, our sophomores, 97% of the sophomores who applied were accepted.
See, that's great.
So, and the College Board, there is a point of diminishing returns on AP courses in terms of college success, not college admission. That's 2 different things. So our kids are competing with other kids who are taking 9 or 10 AP classes, but college success on the College Board's research is 4 AP courses. And then you kind of reach a point where the kids get a little bit overwhelmed. It's very intense to take the AP courses. And that we have a lot of skilled and professional teachers, but a lot of teachers like working with different populations than the AP population. Sure. So not every teacher wants to teach AP. But we can work, there may be flexible things that we can do moving forward to continue to build the program.
Thank you again for everything.
Oh, sure.
Anyone else?
Yeah, could you tell us, since I retired in June of 2017, what's with the AP Capstone?
Oh, wow, AP Capstone has exploded. So I'm going, are you going to go in April? They're starting their first Capstone presentations at Whitewater in April, so it's 2 years in. And so part of Capstone is a 2-year program that's seminar and then research, and I always say it backwards because I did research before I wrote. But they spend 2 years. They combine the knowledge. They have a question that they answer by combining the knowledge that they take from at least 4 of their AP exams. So we have Capstone at Whitewater, we have Capstone at Fayette County High, and we have Capstone at McIntosh. So it has grown. I think Sandy Creek's bitten off a huge chunk with IB coming, and so that's going to have the components that they're going to put in place. And, Stars Mill has so many AP programs running right now that to add Capstone is a little bit more than they might be able to do right now. But it's grown a lot, and this will be the first year where we really start to see the results from it. But it's a very exciting thing to watch.
Anyone else? Well, it's certainly good to see the access growing, so.
Well,
great
and
job.
thank
Thanks.
you. I mean, in your recognition, I don't know that always is said, but thank you because you have supported this program. And you have allowed us to increase our access because it can be a very restrictive program, and we have been able to continue to grow our access. We exceed what the College Board asked for, which I don't really want somebody in New York telling us what to do anyway, but it is good to know that we have the support of the board, and that's been support since I've had the program, so through various boards.
We have certificates to prove it.
There you go.
Do they have gold stars? That's the real question.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Rickley. Appreciate the good work there. Mr. Hollowell, we'll move on to item B with a facilities update. I see Mr. Satterfield's come in, and Mr. Sanders, I know, is here. We've given you the written report. I feel real good. We had Mike shared with us this morning, had a great week last week with regard to the weather. We've gotten a lot of work taken care of with regard to concrete pours, and if you look over at Fayette County High School, that was a big job going on Saturday when I came by. I was excited to see that happening, and good things happening at the McIntosh facility. These gentlemen can share with you any specific points here, but things are on track and moving forward. We appreciate their efforts. Any questions specifically?
No, sir.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. We'll move on, and I do want to mention, I know last week we had our local board governance training and our retreat, and I want to kind of, again, speak to our audience here. You may or may not know this, but our board is required by state statute law to be able to go and receive training. Veteran board members have to have at least 9 hours. If they're looking at exemplary status, which our board is, they have to have 12. New board members, Mr. Raybow's our only new folk on the board, and he has to do a lot more because he's the rookie this year, but he'll slide back down to 12, I think, after this year. But I do want to pass out a really nice certificate because they had class and homework, and they've actually gotten really nice recognition and awards for their homework last week. In addition to the whole board training on current topics, we also had a retreat where we talked about some big ideas for our district, and we spent some really what I would consider to be some intense time looking at how not just to be best in our practice, but also be next in our practice, and look at how we can grow as a community, as a district, as a school district. So I was very, very appreciative of the local board training. Board members, any comment? We had a full day, I'll just put it that way.
I think it was very helpful.
Good deal. Moving on, if there are no other questions, we will, I wanted to talk about this just a little bit about the Sandy Creek High School AVT, or the film modifications. We actually were somewhat ready to do this in February, but we had 3 certified bids. Ultimately, we found that one of our low bids came in, and they had neglected to include some of the specs that we had in the bid process. So we had to work through all of that, and we've done that. And so we want to bring that information to you. It is an action item a little bit later, but the actual bid is $485,600 with all of our fees, architectural fees and engineering fees. We'd like to have a cap on that. I don't think we'll have to spend this, but we'd like to recommend a budget for the project of $600,000 to the board. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but I wanted to explain the reason why we had not brought it to you before now, is because of that bid that didn't come to pass. Any comments, questions? If not, I did share some information with you about a 5-year facility plan resolutions. We've been working very, very closely with our facilities department at the Department of Education. And I know I've met with our facility rep last, I guess it was week before last. I know Mr. Satterfield met with two of those individuals this past week, and we've been working really hard to see how we can maximize our capital outlay funds from the state. You know, of course, we have our East Blast projects that we have approved and our allocation there. But if we can secure the state money, we certainly want to use the state's money whenever we can. And in order to do that, and I'm not going to go into this in tremendous detail, but we have what we call a 5-year facility plan that has to be done. Again, that's state statute, state law. Every school district has to do this. We have a lot of projects on that list based on priorities that we have. Those priorities are established based on need, with class size, based on program area. It's also based on the age of the facility itself. So we normally start receiving capital outlay dollars. We accrue it whenever the building goes into service, but after each year we accrue more, and then we become eligible to tap in or to apply for those capital outlay dollars at around year 20. That plan, I will tell you, and I've shared with the board, we'll always have more plans than we have money. That's just the nature of the beast. And there are some, we know some of those recommendations that go into the plan, we know up front that we won't ever get to those because of that. But we do have to, there's a process that we have to go through. One is that we have to apply for the capital outlay dollars. When we feel like we're ready to do the project. If a project change for whatever reason, then we have to submit an addendum or a resolution changing or modifying the 5-year plan. And we've actually got 5 different resolutions for you because because of some action and looking at the booth project, we need to be able to modify the plan. Now this again is not, the board's not approving anything. They're just being able to put the item back into the 5-year plan. And going over that very, very quickly, a quick synopsis, we had applied for one plan at Booth. We want to pull that. We want to add the Tyrone resolution. We want to add the Fayette Intermediate School resolution. We want to add the new Booth construction, and we also want to add the Booth modernization, renovation, and modification. I know that sounds like a lot of stuff, but the reality is you're not approving anything at this point, but we can't approve anything if it's not within the 5-year facility plan. So this is just setting the board up to be able to take action after you've had a chance to consider and weigh out what's in the best interest of the school district. So that's about as high-level overview as I can give you without drilling really deep down into the weeds here. But I'm happy to answer any questions if board members have any. And if I can't do it, Mr. Satterfield, Mr. Sanders can help me. Any comments, questions? Okay, good deal. If there are no other questions there, that concludes the superintendent's report. Mr. Hollowell, we're ready to move to item 8, personnel.
Yeah, let's move on to personnel.
Okay, and you've had the personnel report. You've had a chance to review the retirements, resignations, reclassifications, elections, and re-elections. For our personnel, we would recommend the board approve as submitted.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I do have a question.
Any discussion? Go ahead.
So you got 2 lists. You got this list. Is that
Yes, sir.
something special?
Well, we've approved one pretty massive list earlier. These are some of the folks who were currently employed that had not received a contract at that point. They've completed all their obligations with regard to that, and so now they're eligible to be recommended. Yes, sir. Those are teachers.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? 5-0. Next up is Tom Gray.
Number 9, financial reports. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Dr. Barry, board members. Our normal report, we have the cash report to start with. Shows cash on hand of $91 million. About $65 million of that is in the operating account. On page 2, you see the operating balances of $65 million detailed out. $52.8 million of that is in the general fund. We have the expenditure report showing year-to-date revenues of $172.4 million, and for the month, a little over $11 million. Expenditures for the year, $139.8 million, a little over $17 million for the month. It's about 65% on the expenditures, 2/3 of the way through the year. Then you have the analysis for the fund balance projection. I see at the top section, we're projecting to be about $2.3 million under budget and expenditures. You'll notice that the 2 items for salaries and benefits make it pretty tight right now on our personnel estimate. In the middle section, you see local revenues. We're expecting to be about $2.6 million above budget. That has a lot to do with how the TATV is coming in and also the property tax. Of course, we had planned for a deficit in property tax for the year, so this is actually good news that we'll be back even. And then down at the bottom, you see that we're projecting for the current year about $5.3 million in surplus, and that would give us a remaining balance above the budgetary reserve would be $8.7 million for the projection. Okay. Then we have our 3 SPLOST reports. Still a few projects going on in SPLOST 1. It's mainly the flexible furniture in Fayette County High School Auditorium as they wrap up that project. There's a couple other minor ones in there. On the green section is SPLOST 2. Main projects working in there, connected classroom, our textbook adoptions, the North Fayette Elementary Connector, Stars Mill, and Peoples Elementary School. And we saw from the facilities report they're wrapping those projects up. And then SPLOST 3 is the last one, where we have McIntosh High School, the Fayette County renovation, the LEC renovation. So the project's going on there. So, and we still are. If you go back to the SPLOST 2 one real quick, Kay, the green one, you'll see what our revenues were. We're still very strong up at the top. If you go scroll up, $2.3 million. We still have 2 more months of collections on SPLOST 2. And then SPLOST 3 collections will start April 1st, and we won't receive the first collections of those until May, the end of May. So it's a month behind. Starts at the beginning of the quarter, and we collect a month behind. Okay. And then just kind of a verbal update on a couple of budgetary items. We did get an estimate from the state on the QBE, which was better than what we had previously thought. They're projecting us to be somewhere around about a $6.4 million increase over the current year. Of course, that has to do with the teacher salary increase. So that's the biggest reason it would have increased. Still pending the Senate and the House to agree on a budget. We expect to have final numbers in late April or early May. And as far as the budget calendar goes, we had to push a couple things back. So we expect to give you a better update at the April meeting so that we can have some more solid numbers after we get some information from the state.
Thank you, Tom.
One thing I would say, Tom said that we're a little behind, but I would want the board to know that's by design. Tom and the finance staff have really done a nice job of really drilling down into our individual school and/or department budgets more this year, looking to see if there's any way that we can make that become tighter, more efficient. And of course, that takes time to sit down and go through that. It's been a good experience. I know I've actually had a number of our department leaders and assistant superintendents, principals say it's been somewhat eye-opening. So I appreciate the additional due diligence, but it has put us off just a little bit. Not bad. We'll be able to get back on track.
And we even went through the superintendent's office budget as well with the same scrutiny.
It did. It was tough, and I'm pleased to say there is no percentage increase in the superintendent's budget. That's a good thing. Thank you, Tom.
All right,
Thanks,
you.
Tom. Just we're on to the consent agenda.
We've got several items under consent. You know, we've talked about, I think, all of these before. Certainly, I'll be happy to answer any question if any board member has any about any of the single items. If not, we'd recommend the board approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Are there any questions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I consent.
5-0.
Okay, moving to our action items. We mentioned earlier the Sandy Creek High School Film Modifications, AVTVF program. The low bid is from Torrance Construction. With the bid and the contingencies for the architectural fees and engineering fees, we'd like to budget that particular project at $600,000. We'd recommend the board approve.
Need a motion?
So moved.
No second.
Very second. All in favor? Oh, you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mr. Gray, where is this money coming from?
This will be a SPLOST budget.
SPOS 2.
I feel like we can get that out of SPLOST 2, and that's what my plan is at this point. Even it is, there is a line item on SPLOST 3 list for it, but as we've been collecting more SPLOST 2 funds than we anticipated, we've tried to do some of those projects in SPLOST 2.
One of the things I would want the board to know is that this is on the construction side. We've actually made application to the State Department, and we've got an equipment grant, and the equipment grant's going to be well over $100,000, and that'll be state money. That won't be local or East Bluffs money at all.
Okay. All in favor? 5-0.
Moving on to item B, we've are ready to engage the architects fully with the Oak Grove Elementary and the Booth Middle School design and engineering fees. We'd like to cap both of those at $750,000. I don't believe that it will cost that much, but we've got to have a budget, and Tom wants to establish where we can start charging those fees out in a line item. So this will help us get those design and engineering applications started and paid for.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the architecture and engineering fees for Oak Grove and J.C. Booth.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Portrait of a graduate.
Okay, last action item is our portrait of a graduate. We've had several presentations for the board. I know we had, this was in part at our retreat. We've had tremendous community engagement with this, with our teachers, our community leaders, and we think we have a pretty good portrait of what we want our graduates to look like. As I've shared before, this is not something that's written in stone. It can evolve. But we think we're ready to ask the board to approve, and I would submit that recommendation to you now.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the portrait of a graduate?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Information?
No, sir. I think we're good.
And there's no need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Okay. Without objection, we're adjourned.
What?